I have never played an Amnesia game in my life. Despite the fact that I am a huge fan of survival horror video games, and it's one of the main topics that I talk about on this page, the Amnesia series has just never seemed interesting to me. I've personally never been a big fan of survival horror games where there's no combat and it mainly focuses on stealth and story, but something about Amnesia the Bunker has just piqued my curiosity. It has just grabbed my attention. And it just came out today. I just played a few hours of it. I still have Diablo 4 pre-ordered. I was planning to drive to the store this morning, pick it up, and play it all day, but I decided to play this instead. And I'm about to give you my first thoughts, my first impressions after playing the game for a few hours. So watch this video if you're at all interested in seeing the perspective of someone who's never played an Amnesia game, but honestly has never really played a game like this before. This video will contain spoilers of the first few hours, so keep that in mind. And once I beat the game fully, depending on how this video performs, I'll do a second video talking about my overall thoughts having beat the full game. So anyway, I'm going to show you some raw gameplay. Let's get into the full actual review. But before I do that, consider subscribing. I talk about survival horror games all the time, but I also do TV show discussions, trailer reactions, movie discussions, that sort of thing. Anyway, let's talk about Amnesia the Bunker. I just want to give you another spoiler warning. You will see the monster in this video. As far as I'm aware, I think they kept the monster out of the marketing. I don't think you actually saw it in any of the trailers or anything, but you do see the monster very, very early in this game, so take that for whatever you will. Also, don't judge the game based on the gameplay that you're watching right now. What you're seeing is very early on and consists mainly of me figuring out how to actually play the game, and also me just being way too terrified to take more than 10 steps at a time. I feel like this game could be deemed boring to watch because it doesn't really look like there is much going on. It might look very slow, but it's a much different experience entirely to actually play it. The sound design, the atmosphere, the overall just feel of helplessness and horror. And speaking of that, I want to talk about the atmosphere and the overall scare factor of this game first. The sound design is amazing. I love it. The creaks, the cracks you hear throughout the bunker, and not to mention the sound of the monster itself. There is very rarely a quiet moment in this game. 80% of the time that you're just walking around playing, you hear the monster somewhere in the walls around you or above you. He's always there. It's always lingering. It's always waiting to just come out and destroy you. It reacts to every slight noise that you make. It's really unnerving and frightening at first, but if I'm being completely honest with you, I found myself being less scared with each passing moment, or more specifically, less scared to make noise. Because in my experience, based on the early parts of the game, it seems strangely random when the monster actually decides to confront you and when he doesn't. One time I blew up a barrel. I shot at a chain and then I threw a grenade which blew up a barrel, and the grenade exploded at the exact same time, and he never came out. He never confronted me. He just decided to mind his own business. I did hear him react in the walls. He did run around, but he never actually came to investigate. But then later on, I was the one who was minding my own business, and he suddenly turned a corner and charged at me as if my presence personally offended him and killed me. So it does seem strangely random, at least in the very early parts of the game, and I'm honestly not sure if this is a negative or not. Because on one hand, the randomized feel makes the gameplay challenge feel like it's less in your hands and more in the hands of just random RNG, which honestly can be stressful when you progress quite a bit, then get randomly mauled on your way to go save. Especially when you didn't do anything. You didn't make any sound, you didn't shoot your gun, you didn't even use your flashlight. But on the other hand, it creates a sense of tension, a complete loss of control that forces you to be on your toes even more. It makes you feel like you legitimately have no say in your own life or death. But I will say again, I am still pretty early in the game. It's quite possible that there comes a point where the monster reacts more directly to the stuff you do, and it's also possible that my playthrough so far has just gotten weird RNG rolls. And also, I've yet to actually run away from the monster. Every time I've come into contact with it, I either shoot him once in the head, which usually sends him packing for quite a bit and lets you continue doing your thing, even though it leaves you with one less bullet, which are super scarce in this game. Or I accidentally back myself into a corner and he insta-kills me. Now I want to talk about the gameplay. The gameplay in this game, what you're actually technically doing, is very similar to what you do in pretty much any survival horror game for the most part, from Resident Evil to Silent Hill to Dead Space. And that's that you're stuck somewhere, you're trapped somewhere, and you need to escape the area that you're in. But of course, doors are locked, places are barricaded, and the keys that you need to progress are hidden somewhere, and you have to find them. And while you're trying to find them, you're trying to survive and not be murdered. So there's a lot of backtracking, there's a lot of opening unlocked doors, there's a lot of reading notes, there's a lot of finding stuff. But there's this constant sense of progression that feels very rewarding, even if it's just you unlocking a door that has been locked or finding a key item that you've been needing to progress. And then obviously you have your flashlight that you have to keep pulling to keep the lights on, and every time that you pull on the string to the flashlight, you run the risk of alerting the monster, while simultaneously you're trying to keep fuel in the generator and keep the overall lights on. And like bullets, fuel is scarce, but not nearly as scarce as ammunition is. And also, the main monster isn't the only enemy, the only threat that you have to look out for. If you get injured, you start attracting these really creepy, annoying rats. Which, yes, the very first time that I died in this game was because of these rats, and I don't know what to make of that. Now, I'm not going to talk about the plot too much because I don't want to spoil anything, and also I am still pretty early in the game, but the overall plot is you are a soldier who wakes up in a bunker and you have, yes, amnesia. You don't really remember what happened. You don't really remember what you did to get there. And you're finding notes and you're finding letters. Some are your own and some are others. And you're trying to piece together everything from your own history to what's going on in this bunker. What is this monster? How do you defeat it? How do you protect yourself from it? And where did it originate from? Where did it come from? Now I'm going to talk about some performance issues that I've been noticing in this game. I am playing on the PS5, but there is no actual PS5 version of this game. It's the PS4 version that I'm playing on the PS5. It's running smooth for the most part. I haven't noticed anything game breaking, but there are some slight weird technical things that I noticed. For example, I picked up items and they've fallen behind locked doors, so I wasn't able to retrieve them until I unlocked that door or appeared on the other side of it. And also, once you enter different parts of the bunker, there's this weird freeze thing that happens where your character just stands still for like 3 seconds. And I'm assuming that it's just the game loading in the new part of the map that you just entered. But it's weird that a game that's only 8 gigabytes running on a PS5 needs to do that. But again, nothing game breaking, nothing that has ruined my immersion or overall gameplay experience. So there you have it. There's my thoughts on the first few hours of Amnesia: The Bunker. Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comments. And once again, depending on how this video performs, I'll do a part 2 to this video once I beat it fully, which will probably be later today or tomorrow. But anyway, thank you for watching, especially if you watch this far, and consider subscribing. Again, I talk about survival horror video games, TV shows, trailer reactions, movie discussions, that sort of thing. Yeah. Bye.